I would be allowing you after few seconds, like after the session is over, towards the end of the video, to just showcase what you are thinking, what you want to say. Fair enough. So before we move forward, let me just tell you what is the agenda of today, what we would be doing, and what you can expect from this session itself. So, hi and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Siddhartha Hazra. Talking about who am I? I'm an SD at Geeks for Geeks. Besides that, okay, just let me. Yep. So, talking about who am I? I'm Siddhartha Hazra. I'm an SD at Geeks for Geeks. Besides that, I hold some experience over competitive programming too, being a candidate master at Code Forces. And then moving forward to that, I have some experience over system design too, and I have been in the teaching industry for the last 3 or 4 years now. So today, this is the session where we would be having the hands-on session to the Postman project series. So I would be pointing out, like I would be explaining you the different things that are necessary over this. Okay. So for let us first start off with the explanation of this. So please keep yourself on mute and just keep yourself on mute. I won't like, is it allowed that I can stop people unmuting themselves? Okay. So whosoever wants to speak up anything and want to ask anything, you can just ping me up in the chat because it's get a little bit annoying because I would keep muting everyone. So please don't take this in a wrong way. Whenever you want to speak, just let me know. I would just unmute you. Fair enough. Let's move forward to what we need to do today. So fair enough. Yep. So So this is the second session. Okay. The first session was API fundamentals. Okay. And this is the second session where this is a project based learning where we would be building what? We would be building a AI text summarizer app. Okay. Let us first see what the project is all about. What are the things that we are trying to build. So you're trying to build. Fair enough. This is telling you the first page is just about introduction. The next page is telling you to enroll. Okay, enroll in all over this. And then the very next thing is the tech stack that would be used over here. Okay. The very first tech stack that would be used over here is Postman to test out your APIs. Postman is available on both, where the first one is the web version of the Postman, Postman Online. Okay, the first one is the web version of the Postman where you can just open Postman and you can see that I have the Postman in the web version itself. Postman is present as a site itself where you can test out your APIs in the website itself. Like if your laptop is low on memory or something else. Okay, the very next thing is the editor that we would be using. This is the editor, which is known as Replit. What is basically Replit? Replit is a place where we can just code it in real time. Replit. Okay, so let me just show you what this basically means. Okay, so let me just open up this. So see, this is the code that is written. Let it load for some time. Yep. So this is the code that is written. And if you observe, I can just like a code editor. Okay. One form of code editor is that we have an offline code editor. Let's say we want an online code editor, just like Visual Studio Code or something. So this is the same, okay, where we can run and see the output in this browser. See, it started running on localhost 3000, and then, And then this is what we would be building up. I would just maximize this pane. This would be what we would be building up. Okay, this would be the thing where I can, this is a text that I want to shorten up. Okay, where I would be clicking on this summarize and we have a summarized version of this text. यही build out करना है. Okay, and I would be telling you how this is working under the hood, what needs to be done and what needs to be done and else. Okay, this is the next thing. Then we have Node.js and Express. They both are for the backend frameworks. Okay, Node.js is a backend one where we would be writing all our code. So if you don't know Node.js, if you're a person who is good enough with Django, Golang, you can use any of them. But Node.js is the tech stack which is very accepted out there in the industry. You can use even Java also. Okay, Spring Boot, Servlet, anything you want. Okay, the very next thing is that we would be using the Hugging Face interface API. I would be talking about this. Okay, so just leave it at this point because here we have make an account on Hugging Face API. Here we would be talking about that. Okay. Then we have the front end, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a little bit self-explanatory. HTML is the text that we write. CSS is the styling that we have. So if you observe, this styling and all is done by CSS. So let me just tell you that. See, if we just go to HTML, you would see everything that is written over here. Geeks for Geeks, X Postman, Summarizer app, anything you write. Okay. X Postman, Summarizer app, and web. If I just write it and run it again. Okay. If I just write it and run it again, you would see Summarizer app and web. Which one? Yep, see. Summarizer app and web. Okay. So if I change up anything, all the text that are there, all the text contents that are there are written in HTML, and all the stylings that are there are written over here. For example, I can just add the color of H1. Okay. Color of H1. Let's say I just comment it out. Okay. Color of H1 as red. Okay. Then H2 as red, and then if I run it again, which one CTA content H2, which one are H2? Let let us make this as H2. So we can make the main line. HTML.css. Yup. Content side paragraph and color, and let's make this. Okay, whatever this is, all the text that are coming up from here is from this style sheet.css. I think that is not written script.js, style sheet.scs. Okay, whatever it is, you can have inline CSS also, anything and all. Okay, so this is all about the CSS tech stack. Then we have the JavaScript to control the functionality that when I click on this, what should happen and where we should be taken, and all the actions, dynamic actions that are performed over here is done by the JavaScript. You have to change begin also tag with H2. Okay, no worries. I'm not that much interested in just changing the CSS and everything because we are building a full stack application. So yep, no worries. I can just take out this. I can just write up something like this and just tell it as color is equals to red. Keep it as intact, whatever damage that we have done, and we can do it. Okay, color H1 is equals to red. And in case of here, just we can go up and do something like H1. Okay, do the same thing. Yep. Okay, that's H1. Make this as okay. Sorry, I was doing this. I think it is just taking the hex color hash red color. Mhm. Okay, by the way, this is how you do it. So basically, there are different RGB colors and everything. So you can just take it like, what is this? FFFFF. Okay, whatever, you can do it at your home. Okay, so just need to write the color of that. Fair enough. Let's move forward to what we would be building up. Mhm. How much time the session is for? What is the duration? It would be lasting for next 30 minutes. Okay, so this is the final outcome. Like we would be clearing on the summarize button and this. Okay, the structure of the app would be this. Now, one thing to notice here is that this is the part that I'm interested. So whenever you click on the hugging face, okay, it is telling you, yep. So this website tells you that you would be using the website Hugging Face Facebook bot CNN model. So I expect you that can you please quickly make an account over this Hugging Face? This is very important. Okay. Now, whenever you sign up for everything, okay, is ask you an authorization token. Okay. This is the part that I'm most interested. Okay. Let me okay. Now see. In the last class, we observed, then we can go to the network tab. Okay. Client side request, and there are server side request. There are two types of request that happens. So what is client side request? Client side request, if you observe in the last session, we saw that when we go to the network tab, okay, let's say we enter some text in the chat GPT. What is today? Let's say I enter the text. So this text goes through some API, and we can see this in the network tab. Okay, and this is the request that your browser is making on behalf of you. This is the request your browser is making on the behalf of you. Let me show you what I mean. So see, if I just do something like, you can even watch this. Just go to the network and let's say value of the net color. See, okay. So see, this is the request that was made to the Google. Okay, this was the request that was made to the Google. And now if you open up any website out there, any, okay, like everything out there is all about APIs and something. Okay, so let me just show you. So let's say I go to something like data science, okay, machine learning, and then okay, let's go to this problem of the day. That is the best one where I can show you. Okay, so let's say I go to this problem. If you just go to the network tab, see if I click on submit. Okay, so see, first get user info was called. So see how all your information was given. Comment api.geeksforgeeks.org. What was the response? My name is Siddhartha Hazra. My image URL is this. Am I banned or not? Am I a admin? Am I a moderator? Everything is given. Next, we go to the votes, the number of comments that we have. Then we go to something known as say the problem, all the problem. What is the domain ID? What is the domain? Contains URL or not? What is the post title? Everything comes over this. So this is an example of client side request. Okay, this is an example of client side request which your browser is making on behalf of you, because you clicked over this, you visited this website, you just clicked a GUI button and this browser made this request for you. Okay, so now there is one more. Okay, and I would explain you the scenario. Okay, this is known as network, the client side request. Then the very next thing that we can do is, let's say this is a Chrome, this is a Chrome, and it gave me an information. Let's say I gave the information, like this is a very good example. Like this is, let's say, your Google Pay. Let's say this is your Google Pay. Okay. You requested that I want to know my bank balance. And this is very common, na? Get my balance of the bank. Okay. So how will it get the balance? So this goes to the Google servers. This first request goes to the Google servers. This request first goes to the Google servers. Now, Google server doesn't know how much money you have in your bank, because it is not authorized to know the bank balances of each individual. So, what it does is it takes all the credentials of yours, take all the credentials that yes, I am an authenticated UPI platform and this is a user who is authenticated with me. And it goes, let's say I have an SBI bank, it goes to the SBI bank, asks for the balance, and then the SBI bank balance returns the balance. And now when the Google servers have it, it returns you back. But if you just see an overview of this, you won't be able. Okay, if you see an overview of this, this, this thing, you won't be able to see. You would just see your request going up to the Google server, but Google server using up your credential, hitting up the SBI, bringing back the balance, and then showing it to you. You won't be able to show this. Why? Because this request was a client side, but this request was a server side. Okay, this is an example of a server side request which you use in your daily life. Okay, fair enough. Now, see, what basically does is if you make a website, if you make your account in the Hugging Face API, okay, in the Hugging Face and everything, you would see that you can't directly hit their API endpoint. Why so? See, because if you just go to this, if I turn off my authorization, if I turn off the authorization, let's say I just turn off their authorization, I just use this API and link and just hit it up. Okay, just bearer token not. Okay, rate limit rich, please log in or use a HF access token. So it requires me to have a token to invalidate it. Just like Google Pay took all my credential and he authorized it to SBI. He said it to the SBI servers. Yes, this is a user and he's authenticated. So you give me. So in the same manner, now if I go to bearer token and then I give out the same token, and then if I send this request, it would give me a response. Okay. So now see what is the use of server. So let's say I know this access token. I have this access token. And what happens is after I have this access token, see very clearly what is the use of server side, client side, and server side. So let's say I have been given a token. It's kind of a password. Okay, it's kind of a pin that is given to take out money. Just like you have a ATM card pin or a UPI pin to take out your money, you have that now. In the same manner, here you have a token, and if you use that token for accessing Hugging Face, the Hugging Face would give you a response. Let us first try doing this in the client side. If I do this in the client side, then I can see here if you observe, see if you go to the client side, I can see all the requests that are being made. Let me show you what. See, this is the requests that are being made. What was sent to it? See, what was sent to it? What was sent to it? And then what response came up? This is this is very this is very, like, you should be very interested about this. So all the client requests that are made by the Chrome browser, the user can see everything, like what request is going off, what request is coming up. It's like using my phone this side to text my girlfriend. It's like if I make a server request, it's like doing like this and I'm texting my girlfriend. It's not. So you don't want to do that because you don't want to reveal your access token to the user. So now you would kind of do the architecture of what Google Pay is doing. Okay. What you would be doing is you would be have in you would be having a API to do this. Okay. Now the you have the front end over here. So I would just draw out everything. So you have the front end over here, okay, which is nothing but the simple page application. Okay, simple page application. Whenever the user, okay, let's say the user clicks that button, summarize. Okay, the user clicks up this button. Now when this button is clicked, you would have a backend. You would have a backend. When this button is clicked, just go and make a request to your API that you have made, okay, to your backend. Now, what this API would do, the API would wrap the access token. Access token. Here we just have the request that was here. So we didn't use the access token here. Why? Because when the request is coming from the backend to the front end, you can see it in the network tab, and we don't want to reveal the access token to the Chrome browser. So that is why your API would wrap the access token with the request. After your API has wrapped the access token with the request, then it would move forward this request to something known as Hugging Face. Yeah. I don't know why this crashed. Okay, your access token with the request that you have. Okay, your access token with the request. Now, this whole thing would be done by your backend. Here you would go to the Hugging Face. Now, if you observe, this whole thing is done on a server to server call. So your access token won't be revealed because this is not client side. The only client side request is this. Okay. Am I clear with this architecture that we would be trying to do? Why we are still building an API even though we have an API to support us? Am I clear? Give me a quick 1 or 0. The whole objective is like if you are a beginner, okay, if you are a beginner, you would देखो आई वुड जस्ट ट्रांसलेट द सेम इन हिंदी ऑल्सो. देखो क्या होता है, हमें ये नहीं समझ में आता हमारे पास एपीआई है तो फ्रंट एंड के साथ एपीआई यूज करो और इट्स डन. बट हम लोग एपीआई के ऊपर एक एपीआई क्यों रैप कर रहे हैं? दिस इज द थिंग विच मेक्स एवरीथिंग लुक सो ब्रॉड. क्यों हम लोग कर रहे हैं? व्हाई द हेल वी आर बिल्डिंग अप एन एपीआई ऑन टॉप ऑफ द हगिंग फेस एपीआई? So that we don't reveal our access token and we can make a server to server call. ये सबसे tricky part है. वो text का color change करना was not the tricky part. You can just do a Google search out there and you can find out how we can change the text in CSS. Okay, this is the part that you would be doing out there in the industry. Okay, fair enough. Show me your COC base. Sure, for sure. If this was a fun stream kind of thing, if we were not this serious, I would have shown you. Okay, so how can I get the recording? You can get the recording on the batch page. This was the part. Now, let me just show you the architecture of this. So, where is the architecture? Understand, make a hugging face. So now you can make a hugging face access token. So where from I get the access token? So you can get the access token from this. I will just show you where you have. Understand the HTML and CSS. So doing understanding the HTML and CSS would be your part. Okay, like what is H1, what is H2. Now the main part is understanding the server. Okay, so basically this is telling that I am using Express and I'm using the port 3000. Okay, then I'm just whenever it start listening to the request coming up on the 3000 server, it would do a console.log. That is why it was printing console.log every time. Okay, fair enough. So structure of the app. Yep, this is where I'm interested. So now see, what is the structure of the app? Open the image in new tab. So see, this is very interesting. This is where I said client side, server side. See, client side pe, you would have this user input the text. You won't have this token with you. Now, you would just send your text. यहाँ पे सिर्फ text जा रहा है to your server. Now your server wraps the token with this and makes a request to the Hugging Face API. This whole thing, ये server इस Hugging Face के बीच में इसलिए है to have make a server to server call. Now after that, whatever Hugging Face is returning, same thing, return summary, everything is there and then we display. This is what was not mentioned and this is what I wanted to explain कि हम लोग ये कर क्यों रहे हैं. Okay, so we are basically building a server. So now setting up the Hugging Face API. Here you would find this is the Facebook BART large CNN model that we would be using. This is an ML model where you can just give out your text over here and then compute it. Okay, fair enough. Now let's move forward to the token thing. Understanding, setting up Postman. So I have already have the Postman. Now let me tell you the important things about the Postman also. Okay, जो काफी important होती है. Let's say I already have this everything built up. Okay, with the token and everything. Okay, I have the token, I have the endpoint, I have the headers, text as text, everything I have done. Okay, let's say there is a colleague of mine and I told him that use these all settings. So he would go to his postman and have all of this in the body or something. Is there an option to share it? Yes, indeed, there is an option to share it. There are two options to share. The very first option is you just share the whole. You just share the whole workspace with another person. You can just share the whole workspace with another person. This is the first thing you can do. If you want to just share this particular endpoint, then you can just go to this code button. You can generate the code of everyone, like PHP, Dart, whatever you want. Okay, Axios, request, anything. If you go to this is the most common thing I do. So if you just go this, if you copy this snippet, and then I can go here and I can simply do something like import the other. If you just give out this code to that person, he would say import, and I just give out this, he would have new thing with the same thing. See, so if you want to share one endpoint, do share the cull code with him. If you want to share the whole workspace with him, you can share by doing something like this. Say, share. The very next useful feature of Postman is that you can have variables out there. So this is the variable. Then here you have another variable. If you go to the body, that is text, you have another variable of this. Okay. So you can set variables out there so that one, if you're using the same thing again and again, you can use it as a variable. Then you can generate the code also. Okay. Generate the code and directly use it in your code base. Okay. So this is what was told in the Postman. Now, the add a summarization endpoint to the server. So what we need to basically do is we need to have another request on top of it and then summarize text version. What it would do basically, it would take the text and make a request to the Hugging Face. Okay, understand the Postman request to call Hugging Face. So it is telling us that first understand how we need to make a call, then copy the same code. Like first, this is how we would be making the call to the Hugging Face. Now that we know how to make a call, then what we can do is we can just generate the code for the language we are using. Okay, you can generate the code for anything. Node.js, Axios, anything. PHP, curl, any means any. So I can generate the request and I can directly paste it. Okay, fair enough. Now it is telling you that make a access token with the link. Now I would explain you how to make an access token. I have made 3 tokens here. So when you click on create new token, there would be 3 types of token. One is fine grained. What is do you mean by fine grained? Fine grains means you tell what are the needed access over here. The next one is the read one, where you would generate a token which can read everything. The next one is the write token, where you can use that same token to write everything. If you want a fine grained to read and write everything, to have custom permissions over that, you can use something known as fine grained over that. You can generate a token, and when you have the token, it would give you a small text over there. You need to copy the text and keep it somewhere. Okay. Then let's move forward. You would be given something like this. This is everything is explained. And then when you go to variables, see if I just go to here. Okay, if I go to variables, I can see everything over here. I can just paste out the values over here. I can change the text over here for this. And I have the base URL for over here, access token, everything I can set over here for this whole workspace over here. Okay, all the variables that was there, text, base URL, everything I can use it over here. Okay, यहाँ से variable set कर सकते हैं. The very next thing is what would be the output would be shown at the bottom. Generate code. How would we generate code? By clicking over here, just like I showed you that. Generate code. This is the code snippet that you can directly use. Okay, already explained. Then modify the code snippet. Obviously, if you are given a code snippet, you need to modify a bit. So you can modify the bit according to your need. And then one more thing that is told to you is that you make the front end interactive. I'm not really a front end guy. I'm a back end guy. So you can just change the text of your colors, add more event listeners. Like when you click on this, what should happen? You can just start meeting question. Click. So you can just start doing this, just ask this. Now, it is also told that you should extend the project. What are the ideas to extend the project? Okay, the ideas are you can customize the look and feel, you can change the text and title, you can generate images apart from just summarization, you can use other Hugging Face models, okay, and other buttons, okay. Fair enough. This was all about the Hugging Face. So now we would start off with the doubts that everyone has. This was all it from my side. Now we would start having up your questions. So why are we using bearer token? Well, can you explain why are we using a bearer token? It's because the API that we are given, it tells us that we should be like, it's kind of like we have a ATM card and we are given a PIN to take out money from that ATM card. Okay. In the same manner, the Hugging Face is giving you an access token to use it. Okay. Sir, will I be able to understand the session if I haven't started with backend yet? Yep, but you should have at least an introduction of what is backend. Okay, just watch the previous recording and that's the prerequisite. Okay, then where I can access the flow of the project which you just showed. Okay, just watch the previous session today. This is the part 2 of the Postman session. You can just watch the first session and then this. How will we manage the multiple logins at the same time? Where do you want to manage the multiple logins at the same time? You can just go to the YouTube or you can go to the batch page. Can you emphasize more on the use of APIs, wrapping APIs? Is it just to secure the tokens? No, there are multiple usage of wrapping up APIs. Okay, I would give you one more instance. Let's say we have a microservices over there. Okay, let's say there is a request to one service. Okay, let's say there is a request to one service. So now let's say I want more information. Whatever, see, wrapping APIs is all about concealing what we don't want to show the user on the client side. Whenever we want to hide anything on the client side, we use something known as wrapping APIs. बहुत बार you would see that in the network tab, the request seems so simple, but under the hood, it would be wrapped around and the situation would be very complex. Okay, ऐसा होता है. Like I would give you one more example. Okay, so it's just that let's say I have built out a model on top of Open API. I'm using the Open APIs or Open API like Open APIs API. But what I'm doing is I am saying that this is my API. So you make a request to my API, I wrap it around with the access token and make a request to the OpenAI. So for you, it seems like I am generating the result, but under the hood, it's the OpenAI who is giving me the result. So this is how wrapping APIs is a very broad concept. It tells you that कितना कितना control रख सकते हैं on the client side. It gives you more control over the client side. So how to see today's recording? You can just go to the YouTube as well as the bash page to watch today's recording. Okay. So, Preeti Sethi, can you explain me what are you asking? How will you manage the multiple logins at the same time in respect to what? So, not showing previous video on the batch page. You can just go to the YouTube of the YouTube. Just you can go to the YouTube page. Now, if you are a person during the Hugging Face verification, so you do how to manage multiple logins. So it would allow you to log in just once. Multiple login is not available in Hugging Face. I think so. Yep. What are you asking? I think I'm not getting the question that you're asking. Okay. So fair enough. So show how to create token on Hugging Face. Okay, I would create a token on Hugging Face. No worries. Sir, show how to create. See, I would just go to this website. देखो. Just make an account over Hugging Face. Go to this website. I mean, multiple people trying to log in at the same time. It won't. It shouldn't bother you. Okay. Fair enough. Create a new token. Just write this. Read a token. Name it as test for. Okay. Let's write the name of the student. Okay. Okay. I would say token for. Okay. Then I create, when I click on create a token, it would is saying that please copy this token. Otherwise, you would lose it if you close up this modal. So I would copy up this token and then do it. So for security purpose, I would be deleting up this token. Okay. This is how you can build out the token. Am I clear to you, Medhi Sethi? Sir, can you tell me learning Postman easy or hard according to resources by Peaks for Geeks? No, Geeks for Geeks. Okay. No, learning Postman is comparatively very easy. There are two sessions for this. You can watch the previous session and this session, and you would observe that learning Postman is comparatively very easy. It is a tool to test out your APIs. How to become a code master? How to become code master? I'm very new to CP. Okay, that's a different stream I should be talking about. You can watch my previous streams. That would be, this session is for talking about according related to the projects. Token are created for each parameter? No. Tokens are created for each user. जैसे हर डेबिट कार्ड यूजर को एक पिन मिलता है. In the same manner, like it's not that for each transaction you get a new pin. OTP is different. Access token is different and this token is different. Okay, so it's like you can use this token to access all the APIs on the Hugging Face. Same like you can use the pin of the debit card to do any transaction over using that debit card. Okay, which is YouTube channel, which is YouTube channel, you can just search over something like this. Okay, just search on is the APIs free or paid. It's for till some threshold it is free. After some threshold it starts asking you for money. Geeks for Geeks. Just search Geeks for Geeks, the main channel at YouTube. Now, okay. So if you have completed the project, or I would urge that if you have liked this project or you have learned something out of this, you can just post your project or give a shout out to me on LinkedIn. Okay. So can you elaborate on the permissions of the token again? Didn't understand the fine grain read and write. Okay. Okay. The read access token is for getting the request over everything. Like आप कुछ request ले रहे हैं. Okay, it's like you can see the balance. You can see the balance by using that. You can see the balance of your account by using read token. What is write token? It means that I can do some transactions, but I can't read the balance. I can do some transaction. I can take out money from my account. It is a write token. What is fine grain? Fine grain means you can specify कहाँ मुझे कितना write चाहिए, कहाँ मुझे कितना read चाहिए. Okay, talking in terms of tokens, like let's discuss the thing known as bit bucket tokens and stuff. So it's like read access means anyone can fetch the code from the branch and can do anything, but he can't push anything because he doesn't have the right access. So when he has the right access, he can push the code in the branch too. Okay, so if you want to specify the access. Like if I don't want to allow that person to push that code in the master branch, okay, but I want him to push code, fetch code on our other branches, then I need to have a fine-grained access token. Okay, so Postman is used only for testing. Yes, it is a tool for testing out APIs. Okay, so for getting the certification, just after you do the whole thing, the Postman, there would be a certificate for Postman on your email. So okay, so that's it from my side. I'm done. Okay, so again, letting you know the same thing. If you like this session or you learned something out of it, make sure you comment on this video so that the reach of this video could be increased and this work could be justified. Apart from this, you can give me a shout out on LinkedIn. Goodbye, everyone. Take care. Thank you, everyone.